Welcome back to the deep dive. Today we're digging into a really pivotal document and kind of pulls back the curtain on how foreign policy actually gets done. Or maybe, more accurately, how it's supposed to be done, how it's mandated.
Exactly. It's a specific instruction.
Right. We're focusing on just one source today, but it's a potent one, an executive order. It was published in the Federal Register. So our mission for you, our listener, is to unpack it. Understand its purpose, what it means for, how the U.S. government works on the world stage. Think of it as a look at presidential power and how it tries to shape the people actually doing the foreign policy work.
And maybe just a quick word on the Federal Register for anyone not familiar.
At this point.
It's basically the official daily newspaper of the U.S. government. Simple as that. It's where rules, proposed rules, presidential documents like this executive order get officially published so everyone can see them.
The public record.
Prototype. A sort of Web 2.0 test version of the Federal Register website. It's accurate information, but it's not yet the official legal version, which is, kind of interesting in itself. Shows how government information is moving online.
That is interesting. Even the way they publish this stuff, it's evolving. So the document itself, Executive Order 14211, the title is One Voice for America's Foreign Relations. Signed by President Donald J. Trump, February 12th, 2025, published a few days later, February 18th. So this deep dive is really about understanding this piece of presidential authority, how it aims to, unify and direct the people carrying out America's global strategy. Okay, let's unpack this then. Executive Order 14211. But first, what exactly is an executive order? For those of us who follow this stuff but aren't, legal experts, what power does it actually have?
That's a fundamental question. An executive order is essentially a directive from the president. It often carries the force of law. But here's the key. It doesn't need Congress to approve it. Its main job is to manage how the federal government operates, how the executive branch does its work.
So a direct management tool.
Exactly. And this specific one, its official citation is 90 FR 9831. It's just 2 pages long in the register, 9831 to 98322. But it's gotten a lot of attention. As of September 13th, 2025, it had over 20,000 page views. And it even showed up on something called public inspection before it was officially published. Got viewed over 150 times there, too.
Wow. Okay, so people were watching for this one.
Oh, yeah. These numbers show that people, especially those tracking government shifts, know these directives can have a real impact.
And that title, One Voice for America's Foreign Relations. Pretty direct. Doesn't leave much room for guessing the main goal, does it?
Not at all. It signals right away. Unify the approach. Centralize things.
Okay, let's get into the text itself. Section 1 is called Purpose. This is where it really lays the groundwork, right? The justification.
Yes. It states the authority comes directly from the president under Article 2 of the Constitution. That's the foundation. It says presidents rely on their Secretary of State and the whole team, to make sure America's interests are served and protected around the world.
It also mentions needing an exceptional workforce of patriots to do this.
Right. It connects the constitutional power to the people doing the work. Think of it like a CEO setting the company vision. The CEO relies on top executives, maybe the head of international sales in this analogy, to make that vision happen.
Okay, that makes sense.
This order basically reinforces that top-down authority for the president in foreign affairs. It's stating clearly the State Department works for the president on this.
So, Section 1 sets the stage, the authority. Then Section 2 gets right to the point. It's called policy. And this part is, very direct. It says all officers and employees who implement U.S. foreign policy have to do it under the president's direction. Full stop.
And it doesn't stop there. It addresses the what if. What if someone doesn't follow that direction?
Oh, the consequences.
Exactly. It says, and this is a direct quote basically, failure to faithfully implement the president's policy is grounds for professional discipline, including separation.
Separation means getting fired.
It certainly can, yes. It's a very strong statement about accountability. Stick to the administration's agenda, or else. This affects everyone, career civil servants, diplomats. It's about making sure the whole team pulls in the exact same direction, the president's direction.
That definitely signals a potential shift. Away from maybe a more traditionally independent civil service idea.
It leans heavily into alignment with the current administration's specific goals being paramount.
So you mentioned all officers and employees. That sounds broad. Does the order spell out who exactly falls under this?
It does. Section 3 is all about definitions. It's quite specific. It defines Department, that means the State Department.
Right.
Foreign Service and member of the Foreign Service, those are our career diplomats. Then civil service employee, other U.S. citizen employees at state who aren't in the Foreign Service, and even other staff.
What does other staff cover?
That includes locally employed staff people hired in other countries, plus agents, special government employees. It's really comprehensive.
So basically everyone working for the State Department anywhere in the world.
Pretty much. Yeah, it casts a very wide net. From ambassadors down to the local support staff at an embassy.
Right. Reinforces that one voice idea, no exceptions.
It sends a clear message. Policy alignment is expected everywhere, from everyone, not just political appointees at the top.
Okay, so we know who it applies to.
Yeah.
Section 4 then talks about the Secretary of State's role in, well, personnel issues, performance, conduct problems. How does that work?
This section outlines the Secretary's authority when issues come up. It's tiered, in a way. For most officials, the ones appointed by the Secretary or others within the department, the Secretary can take action, discipline them, potentially remove them, though it does add the caveat, subject to the supervision of the President.
Always reporting up.
Always. But for the officials appointed directly by the President, think ambassadors, assistant secretaries, the Secretary's role is a bit different. They make a preliminary determination. Basically, they decide whether the issue is serious enough to kick upstairs to the President for a final decision.
I see. And there was a key phrase here.
Yes. The order states the Secretary has sole and exclusive discretion in making that preliminary determination.
Sole and exclusive. That sounds like a lot of power concentrated in one person's hands.
It is. It centralizes significant authority over personnel decisions with the Secretary of State.
So what does that mean, practically speaking, for someone working there or for us observing?
It means the Secretary has a lot of room to maneuver, deciding who fits, who doesn't, especially measured against the President's foreign policy goals. It really emphasizes alignment. If the Secretary feels someone isn't fully on board with the President's agenda, this gives them a clear path and a lot of discretion to potentially remove that person or refer them upwards.
It certainly seems to prioritize responsiveness to the current administration over, say, maybe institutional independence.
That's a fair interpretation. It shifts the balance. Traditionally, there's this tension, right, between career staff with their institutional memory, sometimes spanning multiple presidents.
And the new administration wanting to implement its specific platform.
Exactly. This order definitely pushes the needle towards ensuring the president's agenda is executed quickly and faithfully, potentially at the expense of some of that traditional independence or nonpartisan expertise.
Okay, so that's personnel. But then Section 5 talks about something bigger. Foreign service reform. A whole overhaul.
Yes, this is the big picture stuff. It's not just about individual actions, it's about restructuring the system. The Secretary is explicitly directed to reform the Foreign Service and how foreign relations are administered. The stated goal, ensuring faithful and effective implementation of the President's foreign policy agenda.
How are they supposed to do that? What kind of reforms?
It spells out a few key areas. First, recruiting, how people are brought into the Foreign Service. Also, performance standards, evaluation methods, and retention policies all need to be reviewed and potentially changed.
To build a workforce committed to, that phrase again, faithful implementation.
Precisely. It's about looking at the whole life cycle of a diplomat, from hiring to promotion to retirement, and making sure alignment with the President's policy is a key factor throughout.
What else?
Second, the training. The Foreign Service Institute, FSI, where diplomats get trained, its programs are targeted for reform too.
So changing what diplomats are taught.
Could be, maybe shifting the curriculum focus to align with the administration's priorities, or even how things are taught. Think about a company changing its entire training program to match a new CEO's strategy.
Well,
It's that level of potential change.
That's significant. And there was something about manuals.
Yes, a huge point. The Secretary is ordered to revise or replace the Foreign Affairs Manual, the FAM.
Okay, what is the FAM exactly?
Think of it as the operational Bible for U.S. diplomacy. It covers procedures, regulations, how things are done in embassies and consulates worldwide.
So rewriting the instruction manual for American diplomacy.
That's a good way to put it. And directing subordinate agencies to update their handbooks, too. It's a massive bureaucratic task aiming to embed the President's policy approach into the very DNA of how the State Department operates.
And let me guess, the Secretary has sole and exclusive discretion here too.
You guessed it.
There.
That phrase appears again. giving the secretary broad authority to push these reforms through.
Wow, so this isn't just tinkering around the edges, this is systemic.
Absolutely. It's a top-to-bottom restructuring effort. It's about fundamentally reshaping how the U.S. recruits, trains, manages, and directs its diplomats.
How does this compare to past reforms? Is this kind of mandate common?
Presidents always want the bureaucracy to be responsive, of course.
Right.
And there have been reforms before, often focused on efficiency or adapting to new global issues like terrorism or cyber threats. But the explicit focus here on faithful implementation and commitment to a specific president's agenda feels more pronounced, more direct in its political alignment goal.
So for the listener, what's the takeaway? If you're maybe in management yourself or just interested in government.
It shows a really powerful attempt to make a large government agency directly responsive to the elected leader. It could change who gets hired as a diplomat, what skills are valued, maybe loyalty over regional expertise in some cases, how they're trained, the rules they follow. It's potentially transformative for the institution.
Okay, one last section to cover. Section 6, general provisions, the fine print. Usually important, even if it sounds dry.
It is important. This is standard legal stuff, mostly, but crucial. It makes sure the order fits within the existing legal system. For example, it says the order doesn't mess with the legal authority of other government departments or agencies, or the functions of the OMB, the Office of Management and Budget.
So it respects existing boundaries.
Yes. And it also says the order must be implemented consistent with applicable law and, importantly, subject to the availability of appropriations.
Meaning Congress has to actually fund any changes needed to make this happen.
Correct. The president can direct it, but Congress holds the purse strings. That's a key check and balance.
And there's that standard disclaimer too, right? About not creating rights.
Yes, that's very common in executive orders. It states this order doesn't create any new legal right or benefit that someone could sue the government over.
So an employee couldn't sue, saying the order was violated in their case?
Generally, no. It's framed as an internal management directive for the executive branch, not a law that grants individuals specific enforceable rights against the government. It shields the order from a lot of potential legal challenges.
Okay, so that brings us to the end of the document itself. Let's recap quickly. We've taken this deep dive into Executive Order 12211, One Voice for America's Foreign Relations. We've seen how it really tries to centralize control, boost accountability to the president, and mandate some pretty significant reforms for the State Department and the Foreign Service.
Yeah, the core idea, really, is ensuring a unified, faithful execution of the president's foreign policy everywhere, by everyone. It gives the Secretary of State a lot of power to make that happen, to align the entire diplomatic workforce with that single vision. It's about coherence, control.
Which inevitably brings up a big question, and this is really for you, the listener, to think about. How do orders like this balance that need the very real need for a president to actually carry out the agenda they were elected on, with the role we've traditionally expected from a professional, nonpartisan civil service? You know, the diplomats who serve across different administrations.
It's that classic tension, isn't it, in American government?
Definitely.
On one side, you have democratic accountability. The president has a mandate, needs tools to execute it. Orders like this are one such tool, makes the system responsive. On the other side, you have the value of institutional knowledge, of expertise built up over decades. The idea of a professional corps providing continuity, stability, maybe even objective advice, regardless of who's in the White House.
So, emphasizing that faithful implementation of the current president's policy, what does that do to the long-term expertise, the institutional memory?
That's the core of the debate. Does it make foreign policy more effective and decisive in the short term because everyone's pulling together? Or does it potentially erode that independent advice, that long view perspective that career professionals offer? Could it lead to policy that's maybe less grounded in deep expertise over time, or more subject to rapid shifts when administrations change?
It's a trade-off.
It really is. There are arguments for both sides. More responsiveness versus potentially less independent expertise. We'll likely see the effects play out over years, not just months.
Absolutely. It's definitely something to chew on. Thinking about that balance between executing a vision and preserving institutional strength applies in lots of areas, not just government. Well, thank you for joining us on this deep dive today.
My pleasure.